All right, welcome. Today, we're going to demystify one of the most powerful tools ever created, but one that looks deceptively simple: the spreadsheet. Seriously, these things run everything from a simple shopping list to the entire global financial market. So the question is, how? Let's dive in and find out what makes a simple grid so revolutionary.
So, at its absolute core, what even is a spreadsheet? Well, the official definition is right here. It's a document that stores data in a grid. That's it, a grid of rows and columns. It sounds almost boring, right? But trust me, that simple grid is the foundation for pretty much all modern data analysis.
And that really is the million-dollar question, isn't it? How do we get from this basic grid to a powerhouse tool that can forecast stock prices or manage massive projects? Well, that's the journey we're about to go on.
Okay, to really get it, we have to start small. We've got to learn the alphabet before we can write a novel, you know? So let's look at the absolute fundamental building blocks of every single spreadsheet.
It all begins right here with this one thing, the cell, the humble cell. You can think of it as the single atom of the spreadsheet universe. It's just a tiny little box designed to hold one piece of information, whether that's a number, a word, a date, anything. Now, when you start stacking these cells horizontally, one on top of the other, you get rows. And rows are always identified by the numbers you see running down the side of the sheet. 1, 2, 3, and so on. And you guessed it, if you line them up vertically, side by side, you create columns. These are identified by the letters going across the top: A, B, C. This is super important because it means every single cell has a unique address, kind of like a street address, like cell B5 or cell C10. And voila, you put all those rows and columns together, and their intersection creates the grid that we all recognize. This entire grid, this canvas for your data, is called a worksheet. So let's just recap that structure real quick. The smallest piece is the cell. A whole grid of cells makes up a worksheet, and the entire file itself, which can actually hold multiple worksheets, kind of like pages in a book, is called a workbook. That's the whole hierarchy. Okay, now we get to the really cool part, because so far the grid is just a storage container. The real magic, the thing that turns a spreadsheet from a static table into a living, breathing calculator, is the formula. This right here, this is the aha moment. On the left, you've got a static calculation, just like on a pocket calculator. 10 plus 20 is 30. Simple. But on the right, you have a dynamic formula. See the difference? We're not telling it to add numbers. We're telling it to add the contents of cell A1 and cell B1. And that means if you change the number in A1, the answer in C1 updates automatically. That is the game changer. So how does the spreadsheet know that you want it to do math instead of just showing the text A1 plus B1? It's this one simple rule. Every single formula, no exceptions, has to start with an equal sign. The second you type that equal sign, you're basically telling the program, okay, get ready to calculate something. So if formulas are like building your own calculations from scratch, what's the next level up? Functions. Think of functions as your built-in assistant, a library of powerful, pre-made shortcuts that do the heavy lifting for you.
So yeah, the official term is a predefined formula. I just call them shortcuts. Instead of you having to type out equals A1 plus A2 plus A3 and on and on and on, you can just use a function. The arguments it mentions, that's just the information the function needs to work, like which cells do you want me to add up? And believe me, there is a function for just about everything. Sum obviously adds things up. Average finds the average. Min and max find the smallest and biggest numbers in a list. Count just tells you how many items you have. And then there are really powerful ones like if, which can actually make decisions based on the data in your cells. So we've got our grid, we've got our formulas, we've got our functions, but so what? What's the point? Well, the real payoff is turning all those columns of boring numbers into something we can actually understand in a split second. It's about getting insights. Okay, take a look at this. It's a perfectly fine little table of sales data. It's organized, it's clear, but you have to actually read each number to figure out what's going on. You can see February was the best month, but you don't really feel the difference. This is our before picture. And now, here's the after. It's the exact same data, but with a couple of clicks, it's a bar chart. Now you don't just read that February was the highest, you see it. You can see how much bigger it was, instantly. You get the story behind the numbers in a single glance. That's the power of visualization.
And there's one last crucial power we need to talk about: a spreadsheet's amazing ability to bring order to absolute chaos. I mean, if you have thousands of rows of data, trying to find anything would be a nightmare without this.
Just look at this super simple example. Imagine you had to put this short list of names in alphabetical order by hand. It's doable, but annoying, right? With a spreadsheet, it's literally one click. Now imagine that list wasn't 3 names, but 30,000 names. That's what we're talking about: instant organization. So that's really the whole journey. We started with just a single cell inside a simple grid. But by adding in the magic of formulas, the shortcuts of functions, and the clarity of charts and sorting, we've turned that basic grid into one of the most powerful tools for understanding the world through data. In the end, a spreadsheet isn't really about numbers at all. It's about finding the patterns, the trends, the story behind the numbers. It's a tool for discovery,